Nation, what up? Welcome back to my basement for a little chat. I think that's the best way I can do videos now. Let's just say, you know what? Let's have a chat. Have a seat across my bar. Let me pour you something. What am I drinking? What's the pour tonight? It's this. This is Hezekiah Crane Deep Oak. This is MGP light whiskey. That's proof down, but it's old. It's 14 years old. If you're a follower of the channel, you know I love this bottle. And I'm big in the light whiskey scene right now. We might talk about that in a little bit. The theme of today's video is what has Drew P been drinking in 2022? I could throw a what are Drew P's top whiskeys of 2022 video at you, but I'll spare you. What I've noticed with the other channels is that there's kind of two ways that these videos go now. One way is uncommon nowadays, and that's for somebody to run down the allocated stuff. You know, the best stuff that they actually tasted in the year. That's what I'm most interested in. I want to see who's releasing world-class whiskey, but it is super hard to get. So in that regard, it's not helpful if you're actually seeking out the bottles. The path I see people taking more is picking out these really random whiskeys from a lot of craft distillers, stuff that they liked, more surprised by, which I think is interesting. Like it's interesting kind of in the same way, is that here's a bunch of really random whiskeys from small distilleries that you also may not be able to get because maybe it was those craft distilleries limited releases. If you're just naming like everyday releases from craft distilleries, most of that stuff is not great. So like it may be good, but it's not world class. So to put it in your list of top whiskeys to me is, well, it's crazy. But you know, teach their own. I'm not going to do either one tonight. I'm just going to talk about what I drank. Okay. And judge it as you see fit. Really, I would encourage you to do that. First off, I drank a lot of not whiskey. Again, if you're a follower of the channel, you know that I took a bit of a break. Back in May, I was like, you know what? I gotta focus on work. I got stuff. I'm a grown man. I have obligations. So I stopped making videos every week, stopped doing the live streams, which was good for me. It was level setting, helping me find balance in life, which is good. Not a very balanced person, generally speaking. Tend to get a little obsessive. So it was really a journey to find the space between the mustard and the mayonnaise. And I'd say that's going well. It's going fine. In that journey, though, I drank less whiskey, which I think is probably a positive. I definitely drank less alcohol overall, but I did drink a couple other things more. One being sour beers. This is not a sour beers channel, but I'm pro sour beers. I've talked to a lot of people who have described sour beers in the following two ways. One of them being piss. Tastes like piss. I've heard that. I've heard other people say tastes like barf. Neither of which has been my experience. I'd say it is a taste that may be not something that you have to get used to. I like kombucha though. I've liked kombucha for a long time, which, you know, is certainly acidic. It's sparkling, it's fruity, it's kind of vinegary. None of those taste like barf or piss, I don't think. Not that, I mean, I've tasted a lot of barf in my time, not volitionally, and only my own. I can't say that I've ever tasted piss though, so I mean, it's possible. I'd say it's possible that that is what piss tastes like, but I'd be surprised, and I think a lot more people would probably get into, we'd have more piss connoisseurs if that were the case. Anyway, big fan of kombucha, and thus getting into sour beers was easy for me, and a lot of sour beers have a heavy fruit involvement, and I'm a fruity guy. I like fruits in beers, so if you've got like an acidic, fruity beer, I'm definitely pro those things. So I had a lot of sour beers. My wife also likes sour beers. We had sour beers together. Cracked a couple cold beers together. It was nice. Another thing that we got into together was wine. We were starting to explore wine. I'm learning more about it. I particularly like French reds, California reds. Those are kind of my money zones that I've found. Cabernet Sauvignon and Zinfandel. Like both of those. I mean, the French Reds, Côte de Rhône, that particular region, I've kind of dialed into too. Very, very middle of the road. Some of those can be fruitier, some of them can be earthier. But yeah, I've enjoyed that journey, and I'm scratching the surface, which has been fun, right? Like, sometimes you need to be a beginner, especially when you've been like focused on 2 beverages for so long. For me, that's whiskey and coffee. Got to branch out a little bit. But I found that branching out has actually just upped my enthusiasm for coffee and whiskey. Like, at least what I love about those things. I'm not as enthused to go try more crappy whiskey, but to try and drink extraordinary whiskey, yeah, I haven't lost any enthusiasm for that. Let's talk about whiskey now. What did Drew P drink in 2022 in the whiskey department? In no particular order. Maybe we manage this chronologically, but I'll end the year with the brand that I probably drank the most of. You can probably guess what it was if you watch the channel at all. But we'll start with what I drank a lot of early in the year, pre-May, my break, my lockout. Maybe we'll call it that. That was Russell's Reserve brand from Wild Turkey, specifically Russell's Reserve single barrel store picks, the red label. Y'all, like, those just slap so hard. And I think I had 3 of them, like in rapid succession, and I ran out. I haven't seen any in a while. Not that I've been shopping that much, but yeah, I mean, those ones are hard to say no to. Like, it's cost effective, relatively speaking. I mean, relative to some of what you see behind me, $60 to $70, and very, very good. You know, proof is right in the money zone, 110, 115, 110, somewhere in there, right? Somewhere in there. The Russell's Reserve 13 is like 115-ish, 114.8, I don't know. But the proof is on the money. The age is normally 9 to 10 years. That's great. And then, yeah, the whiskey itself is... So we like that. Russell's Reserve single barrels, I knocked back a few of them and would highly recommend you do the same. If you've never had a Russell's Reserve single barrel, like, you're missing out. I don't know. Like, you're doing it wrong. You missed a couple, like, lessons in the school of bourbon. You should go back, watch some more of my videos, maybe. Another brand I drank a lot of, Four Roses. And this, I drank a lot-ish, right? Okay, so I had probably a bottle and a half, and then I've been drinking more of my 2020 LE, particularly recently. So bottle and a half of single barrel store picks. Bottle and a half of whiskey is not a small amount of whiskey. I think I would have drunk a lot more though. Like, normally I would drink more of those, but I've had a couple single barrels here back to back that were hard to reach for. One of them, like, I started blending it with stuff. Like, this one is soapy. Like, Four Roses can be floral, like, we know that. That's not a surprise to anybody, but this one kind of lacked sweetness or oakiness to bring any kind of balance to it. So it's just like big floral and kind of medicinal. So that sucked. And when you spend 90 to 100 bucks on a single barrel, you want it to be good. So that was a bummer. The one I have open now is much better, but still not extraordinary. I want to power through though, because I know when you get the single barrel right, it's a game changer, and then it's hard to put down. Category number 3 I've been drinking a lot of is store picks. You know, like, I just hate on people putting kind of random releases from small distilleries in their top lists, but the reality is, that's a great way to get good whiskey right now. So I don't blame people for, like, actually loving some single barrels from these small distilleries, because I do. We've had great stuff from Dancing Goat. I mean, I got a bunch. Like, look at all this. All this is Dancing Goat right here. Some phenomenal whiskey. We had great barrel pick from Middle West Spirits last year. 2 great picks from Driftless Glen, also here in Wisconsin. Great stuff from Starlight in Indiana. It's good whiskey. So definitely don't mean to hate on that. Hard to put in a list of best ofs because nobody else can get it once it's gone. But if you're not exploring the stores around you and the picks they're doing from some of the small distilleries, or if you're not going to the small distilleries yourself, going on tours, tasting whiskey from the barrel, getting to know the distillers, you should do that, because that's a really, really good way to maybe get access to some absolutely fire whiskey at generally like affordable prices. Probably about $60 on average for a 5 to 6 year store pick from a craft distillery. And this stuff is coming of age, y'all. Like, thankfully, the distillers who are doing it right, their stuff is finally getting there, getting all those bready, grainy notes out with age. Yeah, good. We approve. Category number 4, I've been drinking my top shelf stuff. The stuff I had open that was meant for drinking, as all bourbon is, but the stuff I had already opened that was on my top shelf, I was like, you know what, I'm going for some of this stuff. I mentioned Russell's Reserve earlier. Well, I also finished my bottle of Decades because I really liked that. I finished my bottle of Elijah Craig 18, finished a Michter's Barrel Strength Rye, and I'm keeping it going. I'm working on this Four Roses 2020 here. I plan to polish that. I've got Stag, I think 14 there. Working on that and just trying to enjoy it. Like, okay, now it's this bottle's turn, so I'll drink it, you know, a couple times, 3 times a week, and you know, quality time. I feel like I'm spending quality time with a bottle versus like taking little sips over the course of 5 years, which is enjoyable, but you know, I think there's something to be said for dedicated drinking. Give yourself over to a particular bottle, plumb the depths, all that has to offer, you know. In many ways we could take that. But in wrapping out this video, talking about the brand that I drank probably the most of this year and perhaps every year, and maybe every year until I die, it's Elijah Craig. I had probably 1.5 barrel picks, barrel-proof barrel picks, probably a full bottle of C920, almost a full bottle, it's pretty much dead. Most of my bottle of Elijah Craig 18, and then, you know, I don't know, I took standard Elijah Craig to a couple parties. I have a Elijah Craig Pirate bottle, 1.75, that came out at parties here, so a lot of Elijah Craig flowing because it's awesome. It's always good, right? Standard Elijah Craig, 94 proof, works always, right? Oh, I also had some Elijah Craig Rye. So Elijah Craig 18, barrel proof, single barrels, 94. So versatile as a brand. Easy to go back to, and it just hits what I want out of a bourbon. Rich, oaky, sweet, enough spice to make it dynamic. Yeah, not a tinge of youthful essence anywhere. I like it mature, of course. So I drank a lot of it, and I don't regret it. I do not regret it. I've said before, if I had to pick one release, sort of one particular bourbon, it would be Elijah Craig Barrel Proof to drink the rest of my life, without question. I mean, there's the higher end stuff. Yeah, okay, Michter's 20. I would drink Michter's 20 over Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, but like that seems like a pipe dream in the midst of a pipe dream. So on a more realistic level, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. And I have, I've stored some. It's been a while since I've seen it. Again, I'm not shopping a ton, but I stop maybe once every couple of weeks. I certainly stop by a liquor store near one of my cafes on the regular. But then I stop at a few other places once every couple of weeks. Have not seen a single Elijah Craig Barrel Proof this year, so I am glad to have some backups. All right, nation. Hopefully you enjoyed that. As inspiration sparks, you know, I'll make videos from time to time. If you have a video request, don't hesitate to hit me up. I enjoy hearing from you all, for sure. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. That wherever you are, you're keeping it neat, okay? Bye.